Alright, today I'm going to talk a little bit about AD carries, or hunters, or damage dealers, auto attack damage dealers. Today I'm going to be playing Artemis. I'm going to be showing you a little bit about her build. And one thing I really wanted to explain right off the bat was the red side start. As you can see, we're beginning on the red side of the map, and the hunter and the mid laner go to the mid camps. And the biggest thing that some people don't realize is that the support should be starting and mostly taking the blue buff for you. So as you can see, we're doing the mid camps. It's pretty self-explanatory. So here's the proper start for a support as of the current meta. So as you can see, the support he's going to take some damage, usually uses a health pot here, and gets it nailed down pretty low. I come in and hit it with the last shot because they were looking for an invade, possibly also just warding on the enemy side. So that's generally how you do it. Now, the bad part about starting on the red side is you're probably going to get pushed a little harder because the blue team will get there a little bit sooner and thus be able to clear more of the waves, so you're going to have to play the safe route and fall back some, etc. So try and make sure that your support isn't too aggressive. The other thing I like to do personally with Artemis is I like to start first with, of course, with your volley, because it's your highest damage dealing things. You want to rank up your volley, your I bloody can't Transgressor's Fate, I believe is what it is the actual spell name, but it's your highest damaging ability. You want to level it up as fast as you can, but I like to opt for my trap second for that particular instance right there. Apollo is getting a little too aggressive, and so I just run away and throw a trap down under me, and it forces him to either take trap damage or walk around it. So we have a bit of a rough time early in this early game. I know that I died once, or Kumba died once, and then I died once shortly thereafter, but we're able to bring it back, and it's just mostly due to over-aggressiveness. So playing safe is not a bad thing, especially against an Apollo. He can be super aggressive with his slide into just auto-attacking the junk out of you, and that's super annoying. With Geb there, it's adding just more irritation on top of it. See, this is where Kumba got a little bit too aggressive and ended up taking some damage. But here's what I did. I threw down a trap, tried to turn. I was turning around, forcing him to take damage while he was trying to clean up Geb, and then able to follow it up with a kill. So it was a good trade in the end. An ADC for a support, that's always a very, very worthy trade. So in a minute, we'll go ahead and talk about mid-game. But early game, pretty much just farm. Just try and get as many last hits as you can. My early game start with Artemis was Devo Gloves 2, as you can see here. Just Curse Gauntlet. You can also do a Death's Toll into Devo Gloves 1, which is, I forget what it's called, but that's also a very viable start. It leaves you enough money to get a potion, so you can get a health pot or a mana pot. If it's a much safer start. It's like a you have a little bit more leeway, so that way you can be a little bit more liberal with your mana, or you can be a little bit more liberal with your health if you grab a health pot, and also the Death's Toll will help you get mana back on each auto attack. So anyway, we'll move on to the big game and talk about those items and positioning and things like that, and then on to the late game. Alright, I wanted to highlight one of Artemis's escape methods. As you see here, Geb came in from behind me. We didn't have any wards. I was pushed up a little too far, and it was my fault for being up this far, really. And so Geb got behind me, and Apollo's basically in front of me, and I'm going to try and get out, because Geb's got all of his abilities, and so does Apollo, so I'm just trying to make him wonder which direction I'm going. Use your ultimate. Don't ever hesitate if you're in a 2v1 situation where you're the one person and you have your ultimate. Just pop it and run, because having that CC immunity can get you out of so much trouble. And also, throwing out a trap under you can make a big difference there. So I just wanted to highlight that real quick. Another quick highlight I'd like to point out: throwing your volley over the wall at a buff. Never a bad thing to do if you have the positioning and you can do it. Right there, Artemis's volley's got great distance, so I managed to steal that buff with just one shot, because I figured that they felt safe, so Geb probably hogged it early, and I just wanted to be, you know, I'm coming up in the lane, I got my wave pushed up, might as well do it. You know, it's worth a shot, and I ended up stealing it. So don't be afraid to use your abilities like that. Alright, now I want to discuss a little bit about the, I guess, kind of late mid-game, early, late game, as awkward as that sounds. Item-wise. Excuse me. Artemis is an auto attack heavy god. She spams her auto attack. She levels up her 3 and then her steroid. So her volley and then her attack speed steroid is the main order, then your ultimate, then your 1. Your trap is probably your least concerned ability to level up. Having it is a great thing. Just you don't need a ton of points in it. Now, I started off with the Devourer's Gloves, so that way I could get the max stacks on them as fast as I could. Then I went into my Warrior Tabbies, because you want to be able to move, because Artemis is already slow enough, already has a lack of mobility in the fact that she has no jumps or dashes or anything like that. So she's got to play it really safe in that regard. And then this is where it gets to be very much your decision and how you want to play things. I opted to go into, this is a good part. That's why you get the use your ultimate to run away, and then still, even further, managing to get out of there with that. That was a great rotation by Mercury. And sometimes when you get under tower in a safe position and you know that you have teammates behind you, even though you're low health, it may be an opportunity to just whip around, see what's going on, and if you have that availability to just drop a volley, just something to get extra damage down. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you might die for it, so it just takes practice and decision-making and map awareness. Here's the point I wanted to get across, was coming in the mid-game, I was a little under-farmed, and I really needed some attack speed, so I opted to get an Executioner. If you're doing really well, you can definitely go into a chin size. So just take an either or, but they're definitely going to need one of the 2 attack speed items. You don't usually typically go into a Hasten Fatalis or anything like that. That would be kind of odd because you really want the damage as well as the attack speed, because her crits scale off of her damage. And so you need to have some damage in order to get better crits. So after the Executioner, I'm going to look into building a Rageblade or a Deathbringer, depending on how much money I have when I go back at the appropriate time. Sometimes, I'm pretty sure in this game, I stayed out really long time, and I was just farming and farming and farming. I went back, and I had enough to just buy a Deathbringer pretty much outright. And so I did. And that's when you're really considering yourself online as far as damage, when you get your high damage crit item. In Artemis, she's extremely strong with that, and then it's all about positioning and how you engage and how you get your damage out. So we'll look at that coming in late game. Alright, since we didn't really have a really big team fight at the end of this to kind of highlight positioning, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here with this particular moment. One thing Artemis, you definitely have as Artemis, is just absolute destruction on objectives. We took Fire Giant, they pushed too far and we got a couple picks, and so a couple means 4 of them. So we ran to Fire Giant, then we pushed up mid-tower, took mid-tower, and now we just fell back to take Fire Giant real quick. Doing 778 crit on a Gold Fury is a fantastic way of taking it. Building a Titan's Bane is definitely a late game item. You always want to get a Titan's Bane because the penetration is ridiculous. It just makes your damage hit that much harder, and there's nothing better than hitting a 700 crit 3 times in a row. So that's what I wanted to highlight. Artemis's boar and a trap. Whenever you use the boar, especially if you're one-on-oneing somebody, always make sure your trap is ready, so that way you can, as soon as the boar stuns them, you can throw your trap down, and that will keep them in place whilst you beat the crap out of them. You can just 1 into your steroid, etc. Or, ultimate into your trap, into your steroid. Anyway, I think the game's about to end right now, so wrap it up real quick with second to last item, Titan's Bane. Then the last item, you can go with whatever you like. Whatever you think you feel as, what can I do to get out more damage? Am I not hitting targets enough? Maybe I want to go with attack speed so I have more chances to hit them. Am I hitting them enough, but I'm just still not doing quite enough damage? Then maybe you'll go with like a Rageblade for extra crit and damage. Maybe more crit chances. Do I want to go with maybe a Magi's Blessing? Maybe they're just picking me off really fast, and I need a little bit of defense. So Magi's Blessing can be a really good pickup because it's that get out of jail free card. Other big thing, actives. Sprint 3 is almost always every time what you want to get, because with Sprint 3 you can run and shoot and it will not slow you down. Beads and Aegis, those are dependent on what you're going up against. If you're going up against the team that's got a ton of just out of your mind burst damage to where you go from 100 to 0 in less than a second, you probably want to look at Aegis. If you have a team that they're locking you in place and then killing you, Beads. So like against Fenrir, against Hades, Hades even, Fenrir, Hades, Ares, different gods like that slow you down, stop you, pick you up, move you around. You would like to go with the Beads, because then you can just negate their abilities and run on out of there. So, I hope this guide was a little shorter and just as helpful. Thank you all so very much for watching. Leave any comments or suggestions in the bottom, and I'll be happy to follow that up. Thank you so much. You guys rock.